Back at it again with the Mobius Dickus, chapter 66, The Shark Massacre. So this is another instance of a chapter, and you'll notice I started the chapter 60 video by saying this is another instance, and I'm going to keep doing that because we're over halfway through the book, and you've started to develop a pattern of themes and ideas that Melville is interested in. So now, luckily, we have this vocabulary with which to discuss these chapters, so I'm going to be using language that references, stuff from the past. So this is, to me, another instance of a discussion which has been relevant for a long time, which is the distinction between the two worldviews presented in chapter 36 and chapter 42. Is the world full of meaning or empty of meaning? And the Shark Massacre is a quick chapter, but it's got an interesting passage here in the second part, where the description of how these sharks are ferocious happens in the last paragraph here, and it says that Queequeg and the other harpooneers are stabbing them, but they just keep coming. And then it says they viciously snapped not only at each other's disembowelments, but like flexible bows, bent round and bit their own, till those entrails seemed swallowed over and over again by the same mouth, to be oppositely voided by the gaping wound. Nor was this all. It was unsafe to meddle with the corpses and ghosts of these creatures. A sort of generic or pantheistic vitality seemed to lurk in their very joints and bones, after what might be called the individual life had departed. Killed and hoisted on deck for the sake of his own skin, one of these sharks almost took poor Queequeg's hand off when he tried to shut down the dead lid of his murderous jaw. Okay, so there's a literal animation of life in these sharks, insofar as they seem like even beyond death there's something more there. There's something more than just the physical. But of course this gets added to in an even more clearly metaphysical way, besides the reference to pantheistic vitality right here. In the last paragraph, when it says, "Queequeg no care what God made him shark," said the savage, agonizingly lifting his hand up and down, whether Fiji God or Nantucket God, but to God what made shark must be one damn engine. Okay, so there's a lot there. Let's talk about that real quick. There seems to be, to me, this idea that the viciousness and the single-mindedness of the shark for Queequeg is a symbol that there is something animating them from beyond, that something had an intent to create a being for pure destruction or pure consumption. Of course, this raises this question of theodicy. Even if you think that the nature of the shark is to have a kind of pantheistic vitality or a kind of animal spiritualism behind it, like it was the creation of the shark was motivated by a god, what kind of god would make an animal whose sole purpose seems to be to destroy things very efficiently, right, and to be cold and heartless? So we have a little bit of a poking and a prodding at the question of theodicy here, but it's very short, it's not sustained. It's just Melville saying, hey, you know what makes me think of theodicy? Sharks. Sharks make me think of that. And then theodicy is only a relevant question if you think in the vein of Ahab in 36, that there is a God deciding why things happen in the world. If you can ascribe responsibility to God, then the question of theodicy is a relevant question. If you can't, then it's of course not a relevant question. Once again, I think this chapter more just brings these issues up in a different context than says anything necessarily all that new about them or settles the question at all. But it's a new way, new imagery, new metaphor that Melville is using to talk about the same issues. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.